Hey you guys, how's it going? Decivye here, and welcome back to another Microsoft Flight Simulator video. Today I got another tutorial video for you guys out there, specifically for you beginners, starting out Microsoft Flight Simulator for the first time, and you want to learn how to fly the A320 or get it up and running at least. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys the basic instruments of the A320, so that means a brief overview of the flight deck cockpit of the A320. I'm going to be showing you the basic features of the autopilot so that you guys know how to manipulate it, and it's perfect for you guys who don't have a flight stick available for you to use, because the A320 is near impossible to control, take off, land using just the keyboard alone. So autopilot is very crucial when it comes to just getting things running and flying up in the air. You may try using a keyboard, but it's quite difficult. Some of you may find it quite frustrating, so I think basic autopilot is essential in enjoying the experience. So I'm going to be showing you that. We'll also be showing you how to take off from this video, and all the pre-flights before the takeoff, and basically controlling the autopilot in the air as well. So it should be perfect for beginners or starting out, sim players. And this video is not for the more advanced players out there or real life pilots. Obviously, they're gonna know this stuff already. So this is just perfect for the ones just starting out. Now I understand some of you may already know certain stuff in this video, so just to save you guys some time, in the description link I'm going to leave timestamps of what I'm actually teaching throughout this video, so you guys can just jump onto the parts that you may not know. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So as you guys can see, the cockpit is actually in dark mode right now, so none of the instruments are actually working. So the first part of this video is I'm going to be showing you how to start up the A320 to get it up and running. Now, you guys from my previous video probably have already seen how I start up the Airbus. So if you guys have seen my previous video, you guys could skip that, or if you already know about this procedure, you guys can skip this part. Again, links in the links in the description for the timestamps below. Whew, that's a mouthful. All right. So, but for those of you who don't know how to start up the A320, we're gonna go through it together. So the cool thing about this new flight simulator, it actually comes with a checklist on how to start up the A320. So you're gonna just go over to this arrow on the upper center portion, and then you're gonna hit on checklist. Now you can see here we have the before starting engine, and after starting engine. So we're only gonna be using the first two. So before starting engine, so battery switches, it needs to be switched on. If you guys don't know where it's located or where the switch is located, you could just click on the icon over here, and it will show you where the batteries are located. So let's go ahead and switch it on, and then you could just tick that to indicate that you've already finished. Next, external power needs to be on if available. That's over here, and it is off, so we switch it on. Tick that. Engine generators, again, if you don't know where that is, click on the eye icon. So it is currently on, so we don't need to touch that. We can tick that. And engine bleed air switches, these are already on, so you don't need to touch that. Tick. But if it's off, go ahead and click it. APU master switch is located over here. If you don't know, just click the eye icon like I said, and you could switch that on. And then the next one is the APU start, which is located just below. And next thing that we need to do is we actually have to wait for a green light that says avail to be lit on the APU start switch. And once we have confirmed that, that's the only time we can move on to the next procedure. So there we have it. We have the avail green light over here. So we can proceed to the next portion of the checklist, which is the APU bleed. We need to make sure that one's on, and it is off, so we'll switch that on. Tick that. And then next is going to be the external power. We have to make sure it's off, so we're going to switch it off, and if there's external power, it should have an avail green light, which it does. Fuel pumps needs to be on, so fuel pumps are located here. And then tick that. Beacons down here. Turn it on. And that should complete the pre-start engine checklist. Now we're going to move on to the starting engine checklist, and first thing we need to make sure is our thrust levers over here are set on idle, which they are. So we can go ahead and tick that. It's good practice to just, you know, do this repetitively so it just gets stuck in your head. Engine mode selector, we have to make sure it's on start. Tick that. Engine master 2, we need to switch that on, which is over here. Tick. Engine master 1, tick. And then engines, we have to confirm that it is stabilized, so you can see that over here. Right now we are not getting any power. There you are. You can see that it's already ramping up. And basically at this point in time, it's just a waiting game until the engines come to normal functions. Alright, now that the engines are up and running and the cockpit is fully functional right now, we can see everything on display. I'm going to be showing you around the flight deck here and explaining the basic instruments here, what they do, how they're going to matter during flight, just so you guys can have a little bit more understanding on how to fly this aircraft safely. So if we look over here to our left hand side where my mouse is, we can see here we have the artificial horizon. This tool basically lets you know if the aircraft is in an inclined position or if it's leveled, if it's banked and whatnot. Basically lets you know how steep you are increasing your climb or your descent. That's a tool in the center over here. Over here to the left hand side we have the airspeed indicator. So it's very important to keep an eye out of this reading because you don't want to be stalling on your flights or overspeeding on your flights, and you'll find that feature on this left hand side here. On the right hand side here we have the altitude indicator. Basically lets you know how high you're flying or your current altitude, and over here to the far right is basically our vertical speed. So basically our rate of ascend or descend is where you'll find this meter helpful. Other features come like the center portion over here, or let's not go to the center portion. Forget it. Let's start off with the panel to the right of the artificial horizon. This is basically your navigation system, where you could see your current heading. You could also see your weather there if you set it, and as well as the airports around the vicinity. Next we have your engine gauge over here. Basically lets you know the status of your engines, what power settings you have, and as well as your flap settings over here. Same goes down here. Next, just right above, oh by the way, these ones over here to the right hand side are basically the same thing here. I'm not gonna touch that. And just above the engine indicators you have your basic autopilot controls over here. And don't worry, we'll be going in depth on how to set up the autopilot in a few minutes. But yeah, this is where it's located at. And down here in this panel you'll have your navigation frequencies and control tower frequencies. But for the sake of this video, we're not going to be messing around with ATC. We have your thrust levers over here, used to control the power of the aircraft. Then you have your speed brake levers, you know, those little spoilers that come out when you land the aircraft over here, used to slow the aircraft down in flight as well. Over here we have your flap lever, used obviously to adjust your flaps for takeoff and landing. Down here we have your parking brake. So make sure you disengage the parking brake before you back the plane up, or before you request for pushback, and before takeoff obviously. Alright you guys, we've backed up now and we are out here on the apron, and we are just about ready to make our way to runway 24 for departure. But before we do that, there's a couple of things that we need to do first before heading up in the air. So in this portion of the video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to set your flaps, and as well as set up the autopilot for your flight. So let's just move the camera angle here. Bam, right there. This is where you set up the autopilot. In this section, this is where you control your speed for your auto throttle. This is where you control the heading of the aircraft. This one right here is your altitude. You could set your altitude if you want. And this one right here is your vertical speed, so essentially your rate of climb and descent. But for this video, we're not going to be touching the vertical speed. We're going to let Autopilot do its thing there. But I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up your Autopilot, you know, before flight, and to get it up and running, and making sure that when you hit the Autopilot, you know, button, everything is working just fine. So first, we're going to set our altitude, right? For this specific video, I'm going to be setting it at 10,000 feet. Okay. And for your heading, since we're taking off at runway 24, we are going to be setting this at 240, basically runway heading. So on departure, we are going to be maintaining our runway heading for a couple of minutes until we reach our altitude of 10,000 feet. Or maybe I might do some turns. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll set it to 240. And once you have that set, what you're going to do is click Engage Selected Heading Mode. And as you can see, it reset to 064. Not sure why I did that, but go ahead and set that to 240. Once you have it at 240, you can see here on the artificial horizon, there's a little green light that says HDG. So that means your heading is in place and locked, and when you select Autopilot in flight, it's going to lock on to your heading that you have selected over here. So 240, we can confirm that it has been set. Now for the altitude, we're not going to click on any altitude hold just yet. We're going to do that when we take off. So right now I want to be adjusted, since we've already set that anyway, so leave that at 10,000. For this speed, we will not be using auto throttle just yet. We're going to be controlling the throttles manually for the time being, and later on when we start to get in flight, I'm going to show you guys how to manipulate the speed once we've, you know, reached our cruising altitude. Right, now that we have set up the autopilot on the ground, next we're going to set our stages of flaps so that we can prepare for our taxi to the runway. So we're just going to set 2 stages of flaps, and on the indicator over here you can see the flaps have been set to 2 stages, and basically this will increase our lift to make it easier for takeoff roll. With that all set up, now we're going to head to the runway. Alright you guys, we are sitting out here just outside runway 24. We're about to enter the runway, but before we do, let's do some last minute checks. So this is good practice before you take off. Just make sure everything has been set for departure. So we have the stages of flaps that we've set out here, and we also have to check our autopilots, make sure everything is set as well. We have our heading set at 240. We have our altitude set at 10,000 feet, and we need to make sure that when we engage the autopilot, the aircraft is going to take us to our heading and altitude. Once we get airborne, that's when we'll go ahead and set up our speed and adjust the speed once we reach cruising altitude. But for the takeoff roll, we're going to be keeping the throttle at manual controls, so we're not going to be using auto throttle. So that being said, everything has been checked already, and we are going to start our takeoff. Now again, for those of you who are starting out Flight Simulator, right? Because this game is pretty hot. You don't know anything about flying an aircraft. So you need to reach a certain speed before you can actually pull back on your stick or controls to rotate the plane to get it to fly. So for the Airbus A320, we're going to be rotating or pulling back on our controls at 150 knots. So you're going to be looking at your speed indicator over here, and you're going to be pulling back at 150 knots. Always keep an eye on your speed when doing the takeoff roll, because you never know. And also keep an eye on your engine gauge, because you never know, while you're performing the takeoff roll, an engine might flare out, you'll lose an engine, and it spells disaster. So always make sure to keep an eye on your instruments, and as well as what's in front of you on the runway. That being said, let's go ahead and take off this aircraft. So apply a little bit of thrust here to get us moving and enter the runway. Once we line up, we're going to be setting the power to 50%. Here we are. We're just about ready to take off, lining up here with the runway. I'm going to set the thrust levers to 50% again. You could monitor that over here. You could see a little gauge go up as I increase the power. So there you see it. 50%. Confirm that it's stable. It is. And we move on to full power. Do your best to maintain center line during the takeoff roll. Check your airspeed. We're coming about 80 knots right now. 100 knots. 140, 150, and we rotate the aircraft. Once we get airborne, we confirm that we have a positive rate of climb, and we put the gears up. And at this stage, we can turn on the autopilot. And then for our heading, you just need to click this. Make sure we have CLB here displayed. That means the aircraft is in climb to 10,000 feet. And make sure we monitor our speed, when ascending, because you see the line over here. If our speed reaches that area, we are in danger of stalling the aircraft. And there's a little red line over here. If our speed increases over that, we're going to be overspeeding. So make sure to adjust the auto throttle, or your throttles accordingly. I'm going to switch off auto throttle first. There you have it. We're passing through 4,000 feet. I'm going to remove the flaps that we have set. You can see our speed is dropping, but the autopilot is correcting. Passing 5,000 feet. Our speed is increasing. And don't forget, guys, if you think you're going too fast and you're about to overspeed, just cut the power. Cut the power a little bit. Bring back the throttles. Make sure you don't overspeed. There we go. And if you find yourself flying a little bit too slow and you notice your speed dropping, apply more power. It's all about maintaining the speed. So now, at this point in time, we can actually set the auto throttles. So if there's a certain speed we want to be maintaining, right here. So let's say I want to be flying at about 270 knots. Once we have that set, we click this. Bring our throttles down so the autopilot can detect. So now that we've engaged the auto throttle, which is over here, this button over here, and we've set the speed, so you can see over here the indicator that the auto throttle is working, and it's going to stabilize at 270 knots, which we have set. Once it stabilizes at 270, you should see speed over there. We've reached our cruising altitude of 10,000 feet as well, as you can see over here. So we have speed, altitude, and heading set, and the plane is fully on autopilot mode. Now I'm going to be showing you how we manipulate the autopilot during flight. So essentially, same thing. We can adjust it through the panel over here. I'm going to get a closer look just one bit in a sec here. Right there. So this is our autopilot panel, yeah? Back it up here so we have a better view of our system. So we have the heading set to 240. So if there's a certain heading that you guys want to fly, all you need to do really is increase it to whatever heading. For this case, let's go to, I don't know, let's say 300. So we set it at 300. As you can see, the aircraft is banked. You can see from the artificial horizon, and as well as, you know, the outside, the real horizon, that the aircraft is in bank. We're still maintaining 10,000 feet and 270 knots of airspeed. And yeah, now this is basically autopilot, you know, flying the plane smoothly. And just about the 300 mark, our plane is going to slowly start to level off. And I'm not even touching anything. So if you guys don't have a yoke and you want precise movements, this is the autopilot of the Airbus A320 in flight. You can also manipulate your altitude. So let's say you want to increase, so set that to 11,000 and then just click engage select altitude mode, and you can see over here CLB is activated, meaning the aircraft is going to start climbing to your selected altitude of 11,000. So there you guys have it. That is the basic instruments, controls, and autopilot feature of the Airbus A320. I hope you guys were able to follow along, and I hope those of you who are a little bit confused about the autopilot system, you know, have a better understanding on how it works right now. And yeah, hope this gives you some light, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, don't forget to leave a like, thumbs up the video, and share it with your friends if you guys found it helpful and stuff. And don't forget to subscribe and join the colony. Now, if you guys want to stick around, I'm going to be performing the landing or the final approach of this here video so that you guys can see my approach back to Naia Airport. Alright, you guys, on final approach, runway 24, Manila Airport. Like I said, again, reminding everyone, if you guys have not already subscribed, if you guys like videos like this, want to see more of it, full flight videos, subscribe and join the colony, you guys. If you guys enjoy the videos, you guys like it, find it helpful, share it with your friends, leave a like, leave a comment, suggestions, feedbacks, what you guys want to see. I will possibly do them. Possibly. If I feel like it. But yeah. Full flight videos. From point A to point B. We're going to travel the world together. So if you guys like that, you like the idea of that, hit subscribe. Thumbs up this video if you guys found it helpful. I'm going to stress it out. Stress it out all the time. And a warm thank you to the launch of flight simulator on my channel. Received a lot of positive, you know, feedbacks from you guys. Highly appreciate it. If you haven't watched that video, go ahead and check it out. It's a full tutorial on the ILS landing, instrumental landing system, which we are doing right now. And yeah, it's just awesome. Thank you guys so much for the support, and enjoy the landing of this video.
100. 60, 50, 40. 30, 20. Retard. 5.
Whew, nose wheel came down a little bit too hard there. But it's very difficult to control this thing once autopilot is off, you know, just using the keyboard and stuff. But nevertheless, once again, you guys, hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, don't forget to leave a like. If you guys have not already, subscribe and join the colony. Once again, take care, and we'll catch you in the next video.